listening to Wavelength Radio. From Cool Wave Picture, Wavelength Radio presents Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
Come together right now over me.
Sit back, take your shoes off, and listen and enjoy. It's time for Happy Hour. I'm Cameron Cooper. Thanks for listening. You are listening to Wavelength Radio, a production of Cool Wave Pictures on Live 365 online. Tonight, we will be talking with a good friend of mine, Brian MacKenzie. He will be calling in and we'll be playing one of his songs of his CD release called These Songs. And we look forward to that. And Brian, hope you're listening out there. Look forward to your call. Don't forget to give us a call. We look forward to the conversation. Getting on with a few things. This past week, Saturday it was, I had the pleasure of standing in line at the post office, like a lot of people, because July 30th, the Immigration Department, or Immigration Naturalization, whatever, INS, they are raising their fees now to $675 to apply for citizenship. And my daughter actually is not a citizen. She is a legal resident from Guatemala. And I was standing in line to get her paperwork done so she can get the lower fees. And that was quite a treat. And basically, the post office was sort of like tax day. And you want to send it certified registered mail and get it off and save yourself the money. Just so you know, anybody that sent your paperwork in, and if it's postmarked July 30th or after, you will be paying $675, my friend. Now, my question upon this, I didn't think about it at the time, but later on I was thinking that, what is the connection, or is there a connection between this rate increase with INS and the new kind of legislation or state-by-state laws that have been enacted? We're broadcasting here from Tempe, Arizona, and our governor, Governor Napolitano, I should say, she recently approved a bill here in Arizona to penalize employers if they hire an illegal alien. They will get some kind of penalization, financial, I'm sure, and otherwise. Also, which I didn't realize at the time until I read it, is that if you're a property owner and you rent to an illegal citizen, I wanted to say, an illegal alien, if you rent to an illegal, you're also penalized. And I have no idea how they penalize you. But there's fines to pay. That was, I think, to take into effect sometime maybe January 1st. It wasn't immediate. But the law or bill was passed here in the state of Arizona. Now, a federal judge in maybe Pennsylvania, I'm not really sure, but he's a federal judge. Doesn't really matter what state he lives in. He's a federal judge. All right? He looked at Governor Napolitano's law that she passed, and he shut her down. He says states cannot make jurisdiction on citizenship and INS matters. So, and this is a big thing in the state of Arizona because we are close to south of the border, and it's a big deal here. And we have uprisings. I shouldn't really say an uprising, but we have walks where people gather together and they call off work, and all the Mexican restaurants are shut down, and you can't get your taco that day. So Sheriff Joe Arpaio, he's always in the limelight nationwide, if not worldwide. He's got something, I haven't had time to research it, but he's got the Sheriff Joe Illegal Alien Hotline. And I'm not sure exactly what it's doing. But he is basically getting on board to help penalize the people that employ or rent to illegal aliens. And I don't know, I think I read a little something. He hadn't had much of a response on the hotline, but he's like steadfast. Yes, I am going to keep my illegal hotline open, regardless of what this federal judge, has ruled. So I don't know. I do think that it does take everybody involved, states and federal, together to help find resolution on this very serious subject. With that, I would like to take just a quick station identification, and we will get back with you. Thank you for listening. This is Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper. Thank you for listening.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio. Wavelength Radio presents Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper. You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures.
Thank you for coming back. This is Cameron Cooper with Happy Hour. You're listening to Wavelength Radio by Cool Wave Pictures. Please email us at coolwaveradio@gmail.com. We welcome your calls. Please call in at any time you have a comment or opinion. I want to hear from you, or any of the other radio shows that you have here listening to. Patrick Adam Show, Blu-ray Show, and tonight we're introducing a new show called The Round Table with Patrick Adam, Charles Peterson, and Cameron Cooper. We will have that airing at 10 o'clock. At 9 o'clock is Patrick Adam after this show. Call us at any time on any show for any comments or opinions. 1-800-421-5308. Locally here in Arizona, or Phoenix, I should say, 602-288-6794. We want to hear from you. Me especially. This is my show. So I want to hear. Just to follow up, we were just previously speaking about the INS changes with the citizenship fees to $675 per application, and all other fees that incur after that, which is quite a bit, I'm sure. But we were talking about that. I was mentioning that I was in the post office with my daughter's application, mailing that. And just so you know, she was brought into this country legally, and that's where I'm coming from. However, I have close associations with people that have come into the country illegally and have gained residency or citizenship. And they're wonderful people, hardworking, pay their taxes, and you couldn't ask to know a better human being. So I'm sort of on the fence on this, on where do we need to go to fix this problem, which we have, I guess, bottom line is, got too many people coming into the country, and too much is too much. So how do you fix that? We are a very rich nation. All of us are from somewhere. If we're not, look in your genealogical profile, my friend. Look where your parents, grandparents, great-great-great-great-grandparents, everybody came from somewhere. We all just didn't come from the United States of America. Great country, but we're rich because of this influence from the whole world. So we can't just cut off the arm that feeds us, so to speak. How do we fix the problem? We just have to find a solution, that's all. And we need to get along in the meantime. And we don't need to go cutting each other's throats along the way. Let's be polite about it. Let's find a way. And let's all get involved. We all have opinions. We all have a way to find a solution. Enough on that subject. I want to get back on a little bit of a lighter subject. Where I work at, I work with a few close-knit, close, small environment, little room that we work in. Not to say where it's at, but leave it to your imagination. You got 3-4 people working in a close-knit environment, 10-hour days, all week long, and you get to know people pretty well. And you get to know all their little nuances and all their little perks and all the little things that you like and all the little things that you don't like. And this one particular person, now, I talked about the bearded lady on my last show. And I'm not going to go too deep on the bearded lady tonight. I think I did enough like Charles Peterson, our producer, said, and host of the Blu-ray show, I said, well, I'm not going to go personal on this. And he says, how personal can you get? You're talking about her hair on her chin. And so I'm going to leave that alone, but it's spinning my mind because she's still not shaven. She's still got the goatee, folks. So obviously she didn't hear my broadcast, thank God. But now we've got another winner at work. And of course I'm not going to say any names, but she absolutely, and I don't mean by saying she that I'm going sexist here, she is absolutely the laziest human being I've ever seen in my life. I mean, if she can find a way to get out of work, she will. She wants nothing but to sit on her fat ass and munch food and cram her mouth full of Doritos and anything else she can sponge out of your lunch bag and do nothing. She is a lazy piece of dookie. Keeping my show clean, folks. But, no, it's like all these little things, and you wouldn't know it unless you actually work there with us. How can you manipulate the situation? How can you steal those extra minutes of sitting on your ass? She's found every curve, man. So, it's a joke around the shop, and it's funny to me, and I wanted to share it with you. But unless you work there, I don't think you'd really get the big picture on how much it really pisses me off every day to have to go into work and work with this person that doesn't want to carry their weight. And she's got a little bit of that to carry. But nonetheless, so if I think of something funny that I think I want to share with you about this a little bit later, I might interject. I'm going to move on, though, to just a slight update. On my earlier broadcast, I was speaking about the Mark Gaydos trial. And I just want to update you on what I've found out is they have DNA or biological proof or evidence from the experts now. All right? They are experts. This is what they've trained in. It is 360 trillion times likely, and I don't even know how you can come up with that kind of a freaking number, man. I mean, that's off the charts. Does that number even freaking exist? 360 trillion? I mean, that's one of those weird numbers. That's not a real number. But that's like giving him, if he's guilty, 70 to 280 years in jail, or the death penalty. But 280 years in jail. I mean, does anybody know anybody that's lived 280 years? I guess our courts have to have some sort of off-the-chart number to, my mind just went blank. I need a cigarette. I'm not allowed to smoke in this studio, but I want a cigarette. But, yeah, you can't have a person that can outlive the judgment placed upon them. So you have to go off the charts. This number is off the charts. 360 trillion times likely that his DNA biological evidence that was left on the left breast of the victim. It wasn't the right breast. It was the left breast. I thought that was interesting that they had to be so precise on that. He didn't leave the rape test kit that was used during the incident. I don't know why, but there wasn't enough DNA evidence in the rape kit. So possibly this person either waited too long to go in for examination or had cleansed somehow or something. But the rape kit didn't have enough DNA evidence to really go after prosecution. But however, the DNA evidence left on her left tit, though, actually was enough. It was enough to give him 360 trillion times likely that he is the accused and that he is guilty. and he can get 70 to 280 years in jail or the death penalty. But now this is just on one case now, folks, and I'm sorry to any listeners that might be predisposed to be sensitive to these family members. I'm not being disrespectful to any of you and your case, but this is radio, and we are talking about things that are sensitive nature, and that's why things do gain a little bit of humor. All right, so that's the update on Mark Gaydos. If you go onto the KTAR radio website, you'll see a picture of him on today. This is August 1st, 2007. The picture on their site, he's looking like, oh my God, they caught me. That's the look on his face, folks. So at this point, I'm going to say, guilty, sentence him. All right, you're listening to Cameron Cooper. This is Happy Hour. We will be back in a moment.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio. You're listening to Wavelength Radio. You're listening to Wavelength Radio. From Cool Wave Pictures, Wavelength Radio presents Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
Come together right now over me.
All right, you're listening to Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper. Please call us with your comments or your opinions. We welcome you listeners to call us. We want to hear from you. Please call us here. Nationwide, 1-800-421-5308. If you're in the Phoenix area, Phoenix metropolitan area code 602-288-6794. You can email us at coolwaveradio@gmail.com. This is Happy Hour by Wavelength Radio, brought to you by Cool Wave Pictures. Our producer is Charles Peterson, a man of many talents, and it's been a pleasure to work with him through the years on a variety of projects, this being one of them, and I couldn't say anything else except kudos, man. It's great. And we're going to continue on. We were just speaking about the Mark Gaydos update, and if you have comments or concerns on that, please give us a call. We welcome your information and your input. And a little bit later, we're going to play a song first by a good friend of mine, Brian MacKenzie. He has a CD release. It's called These Songs. And we're going to play a song that we don't really know until he's going to call in, but we don't really know exactly when he wrote it or how it was written, when it was recorded, and the exact release date of his CD. But it's a great song. I've had it on my computer for at least a year now, and listened to it many times, and it's always a pleasure. And I've had the opportunity and pleasure to work with this gentleman on some other projects that we were doing musically. I myself am a singer and musician, and Brian MacKenzie as well. And another cohort of ours, David Salinas, and I hope you're listening out there, Salinas, tonight. We'd welcome your call, and certainly want to get Mr. David Salinas in for an interview, on the show as soon as we can. But just to go back on this project that we had, we never really get off on the grounds because, life does get in the way and you go through a lot of changes, and sometimes you have to reroute things. And but we had a project where Brian MacKenzie actually is an Elvis impersonator, and a very good one at that. And David Salinas is a Billy Joel impersonator, and I am a Frank Sinatra impersonator, among a few others that I like. But we had a project going on where we were rehearsing for a little show we were going to put on here in the Phoenix area at the Roosevelt Hotel downtown, and it just never got off the ground, so to speak. But the rehearsals and the input and all of the hard work that we put into it I don't regret it for a minute. It was a pleasure working with these gentlemen and getting to know them and getting to know their talents. So I look forward to speaking with Brian MacKenzie here in just a few minutes, folks, so you can be introduced to him as well. And he's got a great sense of humor as well. Great human being. I want to say he might have a Welsh background or Scottish background, Sean Connery background. I'm not sure. But great guy. He came out to the Phoenix area from the East Coast, New Hampshire-ish, I'm thinking. He'll solidify all these comments I'm making right now. But let's go ahead and listen to this song from Brian MacKenzie.
The name of it?
It is called Time to Let Go. This is Brian MacKenzie, Time to Let Go. You're listening to Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper. Please enjoy this song. And Brian, we look forward to hearing from you afterwards.
Take you ride tonight. Well, I won't stand in your way. If you must go, and all the little things that we leave behind, scattered across in time, will always remain. And it's so hard to find all the things you need, and I know it's gonna take a little time. I was glad to know I was on your mind, and I'm glad to know you're doing fine. Though it's time to let go. Now when you're dancing in the morning haze, do you rise with a smile, thinking about the day and all the little risks that we left behind will come again in time? Will we take them on? And it's so hard to find all the things you need, and I know it's gonna take a little time. I was glad to know I was on your mind, and I'm glad to know you're doing fine. Though it's time to let go. And it's so hard to find all the things you need, and I know it's gonna take a little time. I was glad to know I was on your mind, and I'm glad to know you're doing fine. Though it's been so long ago, and it's time to let go.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio. From Cool Wave Pictures, Wavelength Radio presents Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
Come together right now over
Okay, this is Cameron Cooper with Happy Hour. Thank you for listening. This is Wavelength Radio, brought to you by Cool Wave Pictures. We have online with us right now, who has been so kind to call into us, like I was warning you guys earlier, Mr. Brian MacKenzie. Brian, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Cameron. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I was just...
Am I coming in clear for you? Clear enough?
You're sounding very clear, my friend.
Oh, that's good. I really first would just like to say thank you to you and also Charles for this opportunity to be on your radio program, because it is a historical moment for me. You did play my song, right?
Absolutely. Yes, we did.
I just wanted to make sure before I got into this speech. But I just want to say it's a historical moment for me personally, and possibly for you as well, is that you make your goals in life, and one of my goals in life was to have one of my songs play on a radio station.
Time to Let Go. Time to Let Go. Brian, what can you tell us about Time to Let Go? You wrote this song, is that correct?
Yes, I did. I wrote it 11 years ago. How about that?
11 years ago?
So, 11 years ago.
Okay.
So, it's definitely a song that, people still like, so,
Now, I did speak with you earlier, and you had mentioned that this seems to have a little bit of a following, and people do enjoy this song. And I enjoyed this song as well as all the others on your CD of these songs by Brian MacKenzie. And you wrote this about 11 years ago. Is there any, if I can ask, is there any input that you can put into this about how maybe you wrote this song?
Well, I was sitting in the attic in my in a place in Boonton, and I got up one day with a little
Where did you say?
in my head, and at Boonton, New Jersey. Nobody ever wants to go there, so yeah.
And how did you say New Boonton?
Yeah, Boonton.
Boonton.
Actually, Boonton, New Jersey. Yeah, it's a place where they send people that have no purpose, like myself at the time. So anyway, just you have a feeling about something, and it just kind of came out, and it's just basically, if you have to let go of something, it's time to let go, and other things will come back around. And
now, were you in the process, or had you been going through something in past years that you were letting time to let go of something? Is that too personal to ask you?
Yeah. It was right before I was leaving actually Boonton and moving up to New Jersey, and it was like some friends that I knew that I probably would never see again, and I was basically taking my ride, as I think the first lyrics go, and you always kind of sing in the third person, I guess. At least I don't know, but yeah, it's just about moving on and taking that open highway to nowhere and see what lies ahead.
Now, Brian, what plans do you have in the up and coming future about some of your musical adventures? I know I was explaining earlier to our listeners about our correspondence with David Salinas and our project that we never really quite got it off the ground to perform over at the Roosevelt Hotel here in Phoenix. But I did did brief on that, and that was quite a pleasure to meet you, my friend, and David Salinas, and work on this project. You guys are great musicians. Do you have anything coming up in the near future that you'd like to talk about musically? Yeah,
probably coming down to 19th Avenue and maybe sing some songs for fun. And that sounds, that would be nice. But as far as I send my there's a bunch of things you can send your songs to. You can send them to the John Lennon Songwriting Contest. There's a bunch of songwriting contests if you don't have an act going or a band. So, I'll send them out occasionally to that. But that's basically what I'm doing right now.
Right on.
Just so.
Well, I can't leave our conversation without bringing up Elvis, because that would be disrespectful. And I did mention that you're a very good Elvis impersonator. And you, you just, you basically could actually almost feel his feelings, because you're connected to the man as well as I am. And I know we've got a not Las Vegas, but Graceland in Memphis. This is the month, my friends. Graceland is having the first time Elvis impersonator contest, which they used to call it the Ultimate Elvis Contest. And Graceland now has acquired the rights to go into delivering this performance and contest. And it's actually going to be on the grounds of Graceland at August 17th. And
How about that?
and they will have preliminary contests as they have had for the past previous months. And I know I was very excited to hear that Graceland, which they should have had rights to that in the beginning. But nonetheless, any comments on that, Brian? Any of the picks that you may have or hopes that you may see in the contest? I can't think of the guy's name now that I had seen, but he won it a few years back, and the guy is awesome. Do you recall his name?
I have absolutely no idea.
Irv, that's the guy.
Herb?
Irv.
Irv. Well, good for Irv. I'm glad for him.
Good for Irv. Don't like that competition much.
Good for Irv,
Irv who? I like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Irv who?
Irv who, man?
He likes it. He probably likes that too. Irv who?
It's like,
So,
Brian, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
One quick thing, we were watching, I did TiVo Flaming Star, and I must say that from the time that the title song ended to two guys riding on a horse to Elvis picking up a guitar and singing a song was approximately 30 seconds. And so I just wanted to let everybody know that you're going to get your fill of Elvis songs in his movies. But go ahead, Cameron, and again, it's my thanks and my privilege to be on your show.
Well, Brian, thank you for calling in, my friend, and we appreciate all of your talents. And you were listening to Wavelength Radio, brought to you by Cool Wave Pictures. Our guest tonight calling in, Brian MacKenzie. He is the author and singer of the CD release of these songs. And we will be playing more of Brian's CD on Happy Hour in the up-and-coming segments, so please stay tuned for that. And we look forward to hearing from more of you, Brian. Please call in anytime, even if you don't have something to speak about musically. If you want to comment as a caller on any of our topics, because we do talk about other things, we look forward to hearing your opinions, because you have a good wit and intelligence about you, my friend, and it's a pleasure knowing you. You're listening to Wavelength Radio. This is Happy Hour. I'm Cameron Cooper. Please stay tuned. We'll come back with you in just a moment.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures Radio. From Cool Wave Pictures Radio. From Cool. You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures. Wavelength Radio presents Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
Come together right now over me.
Hello, you're listening to Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper. Thank you for listening. We just finished up with Brian MacKenzie, and thank you for calling in, Brian. And what a great musician. What a great musician and a great friend and a great human being. And I wish to have more time on my show to relay more of his talents. We're going to change the subject here and go into a radio call that I made to KTAR radio with Gaydos. Gaydos, I'm sorry. Gaydos. I'm sorry. I've been up for about 14 hours now, and I apologize for that. But Mr. Larry Gaydos from KTAR Radio, and I did make a call into his show earlier today, And he had the topic bringing about the Tillman episode, and we're all familiar with that. And basically, I just commented that, the media, not him, not KTAR, not Larry Gaydos, but the media in general, newspapers alike, were beating a dead horse. I believe, and once again, not to bring any disrespect to the family members of this soldier and hero that gave his life for our country. Godspeed to all of his family. But we're beating a dead horse, folks. And I want to go a little bit later on this because I did call into KTAR and we did combat a little bit about this topic. And we were in disagreement about where this goes. He wants to go investigative with it. The media wants to go investigative with it. They are going investigative with it. And they're pushing the government and legislation to go investigative about it. And it's a very serious issue. But my point that I was trying to make with Mr. Gaydos was that we cannot try the government, we cannot try the military in the media. We try everything in the media. But when we're in a time of war, which we are, folks, the government needs to do governmental things. And let them do their governmental things. Let's put a little bit of faith in our government. Let's put a little bit of faith in our president. And let's let them do their job. I think at times the media interferes with what our government and our military is trying to do to protect us. Now, you can debate this around circles, and we probably will be back on this topic again about Tillman and the investigation.
Play the clip.
But let's go ahead and go to the clip with me speaking with Larry Gaydos on KTAR radio, broadcast in Phoenix, Arizona. Listen to this. We'll come back and talk about this some more.
Gaydos, After Dark, on News 92.3, KTAR FM.
All right, everybody, 7:25 and 14 seconds on News 92.3 KTAR FM. About 5 minutes away from our next report on the bridge over the Mississippi River that absolutely collapsed during rush hour traffic today. Let's get to our issue, and let's get to the phones at 277 KTAR. Donald Rumsfeld on Capitol Hill getting grilled by a House panel. My frustration with the Tillman story is this. Everything I hear from the government, everything I hear from people who were there, everything's different. There's no one story that comes out and tells us what happened. And what I hope is that the Tillman family continues to go after the government and to go after the military to try and find out what happened here. And I'll ask you this, after all these investigations, after the House panel today, I mean, do you think that Pat Tillman was murdered on that battlefield? Is that something that you're ready to say? It's a very good possibility now. 277 KTAR. Let's get it started with Cameron in Phoenix on News 92.3 KTAR FM. Hi, Cameron.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for calling. What do you think?
I tell you what, I think we're beating a dead horse. I think this has been, for months, we've been talking about the Tillman case. It's a tragedy. We know that. I feel so bad for all of their friends and family members, as we all do. However, it's beating a dead horse.
I don't understand what you mean by beating a dead horse. I mean, we don't even know what happened to this guy. Are you ready just to sit there, Cameron, and say, I'm going to believe Donald Rumsfeld didn't know anything, and, it looks like, I guess it was just a stray bullet and it whacked him. I mean, I honestly think there's something very sinister here going on, and I think that's the beginning of the cover-up. I mean, well, I don't find it that we're beating a dead horse. How can you beat a dead horse when we haven't even found out what happened? And we were lied about it over and over again.
Well, I think it's premature to say it's a cover-up. I mean, let the government be government, and we are in a war. And sometimes
Cameron, how is it not a cover-up? How do you see this as not a cover-up? I mean, if you have 6 different investigations and you have investigations that are investigating cover-ups, how is it not a cover-up?
You have to appreciate the government in a time of war, that some things need to be classified and confidential. We've got too much media covering too much and trying to push everything over into a corner and say, let's investigate it.
You don't think we should investigate this if one of our soldiers got whacked by someone on purpose?
Yes, it should maybe be investigated if it's brought to the attention, and it needs to be investigated. But does it need to be investigated in the media? Are we to investigate it?
Well, let me tell you something, Cameron. How else are we going to investigate this if the media doesn't push the envelope? If the mother of Pat Tillman doesn't push the envelope? If we don't ask the questions, who the heck is going to ask the questions to try and find out how this guy died?
There's good people and bad people in all walks of life, especially in the government, and let those people that are good do the investigating in the government in the internal way, and not let's push it out in the media and let us try to investigate it and let us form an opinion prematurely.
I got to tell you, Cameron, I appreciate the call. I could not disagree with you more. I am going to hammer this Pat Tillman thing every single chance I get because I think one of our own killed him, and that doesn't...
All right, we were listening to our conversation, our interview with Larry Gaydos on KTAR radio with me earlier today. And I just want to say that I appreciate his stance on this subject with Pat Tillman. If something happened to Pat Tillman, if he was my child, if he was my loved one, then yes, I would want to know what happened. And I think it's a little bit premature, though, to be laying all of our irons out in the fire and hoping to come to some conclusion. The media wants immediate results, and you do not get immediate results with the government. You don't get immediate results with life, period, especially with the government. The wheels of government and municipalities turn very slow, my friend, if you didn't already know that. And so for us to want to come to a conclusion right now, we all want immediate gratification. That's the way of our society. We want to know now. We're like the spoiled little brat. I want it now. You can't have it now, my friend. You may have to wait 20, 50 years or more. Think about some of the things that the government has been involved with for our sake that have been classified until years later, and then we can look back, hindsight 2020, and say, now what do we do? You gotta trust your government. You gotta trust the people looking after you. If you don't like the people looking after you, vote somebody else. Bottom line, get in there and vote. Get the people in there in charge that you want making the decisions that affect your life and the lives of your children and their children. You're listening to Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper, brought to you by Wavelength Radio. Thank you for listening. Up next is Patrick Adam with the Patrick Adam Show. Please enjoy. He is a great personality on Wavelength Radio. He's a little bit more intense than me, but he's fantastic.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures. Wave Pictures.